In this video demonstration, I'm going to show you how to use the beautiful new small floral alphabet from 2Js. And this time we have stamps and dies. So this is based on a larger alphabet we did, which is about sort of 2-inch letters. This time they've been made smaller, so each letter is about 1 inch high. We've also done matching dies with them, making it so much easier to cut them out and make some beautiful cards. So you can see here we've got just sort of Nan across using the Tempest die, or Special Friend going across. These letters aren't too big to use on cards. Here's a beautiful one with Olivia. Here's a stunning one with Jen, just as a little name tag on here. Or this beautiful one from Hazel with Happy, and then using the 2J's finger stamp alphabet for Christmas. So there's lots of different options you can do for this, and it's great for personalisation. What I'm going to show you today is how we finish off this card and how we actually just stamp and colour and cut out the love letters in here. So I'm going to start with the letters, and I'm going to use my press to impress, as this makes it a lot easier to do. So we're going to take letters that we need first, and I keep mine on a board. It's a lot easier to keep them this way, and it's just kept in one of my sliding folders from Crafts 2. So we will need the L, the O, the V and the E. So we'll take the letters off that we need, and these are clear stamps and they're quite flexible, meaning you don't have to worry too much. They'll sort of go exactly into the size that they're needed. But I find one of the best ways to do this, certainly when laying them out, is to use my press to impress and use one of the grid sheets, because you may want them not cut. So using one of the lines on the bottom, I'm just going to put each letter against that bottom line, which helps if you want to just stamp that out and have that straight onto your paper. If not, then you don't worry. So we would just put those there like that, and there we have love done in a simple strip. So I'm just going to pick those up with the top surface, and first of all I'm going to stamp them straight to show you. So I'm going to take a piece of card, and here I've got a beautiful piece of rose coloured card, so we'll just pop that in the right place. There we go, get that right. Okay, and then I'm simply going to ink these with my standard VersaFine in Onyx Black. So ink those across, and we're just going to stamp those, and by using the template sheet I get a perfect straight line in there. So I get that lovely love. If I'm wanting to cut them out, I would space them a little bit differently. So if I'm wanting to space them out, I would again try and go with a line, but I would leave a little bit more room so I can get the dies between. So if you notice here, I'm leaving almost a finger's width between each letter. And again, I don't have to worry too much about getting them straight. So I'm going to move that one out a little bit, again giving a nice width between each one. Again, pick them up on the surface, and this time as I'm using them on a card, I don't want it too strong, so I don't want it black. So this time I'm using smoky grey VersaFine, so that I get a lot softer look. So again, check, make sure they're in the right place, magnet down my card, and I simply then ink the stamp, giving them a good inking, close the platform and gently press. If you're worried about pressure, use the pressure tool, which makes it a lot easier to get you a nice smooth crisp line. And as you can see, there's a lot of detail in here, so very simple to do. And the best advice I would give you is when you finish stamping, put them back onto your sheet. It's one of the best ways. It's one of the main reasons I keep them on a hard sheet. That way you don't lose any letters. Obviously there are 27 in here, 26 letters, and you also get the ampersand or the and sign. So it's great for if you're wanting to do in couples, weddings, engagements, or just initials on there. So we'll take these off. Okay. And there we've got our love stamped beautifully. So I'm just going to gently colour this, and I found one of the best ways to colour it is by using a water brush or using a little brush pen. I'm using the Zig Clean Colours, but there are lots of different ones available out there on the market. And what I want to do is, I'm not the best at colouring, and I'm not the best at seeing exactly where the flower is. It's why the brush pen's the best. So I'm just roughly going over where the flowers are. So you can see here, I'm going over just where some of the flowers are, or putting a little bit of random colour in. That's a light pink. I've now got a dark pink. So I'm just going to colour in against some of those flowers. I'm not trying to keep to the lines. I'm not trying to make it absolutely perfect. It is very difficult with a smaller stamp unless you've got wonderful 20/20 eyesight, which to be honest I haven't. But we're giving the impression. I'm then going to take a light green and I'm literally going to put little bits of it around where the foliage is. So I'm not worrying that I'm going over the lines. I want to give a soft sort of watercolour look. So you can see here it's going over where the lines are. I'm just almost filling in the foliage with the brush, just like that with the light green. And then I take a darker green and I'm just adding little dots of the darker green on, just so we've got a few little highlights. It makes it look so much more realistic, and we're not trying really hard to colour it perfectly. You can see there, I've got that beautiful letter, and it looks as if it's been beautifully hand coloured. If you want to give it a really soft look, take your water brush, water over the top and let that all sort of swell out a little bit, and it'll give you a beautiful watercolour look. But really, really simple to do. So we'll bring one in that I've got coloured. So I'll show you here. I've got 3 letters already coloured, so I've just got to finish off the last letter. So again, using the light pink, I'm just going to colour the flowers just roughly. And on this letter, there are only 2 main flowers. So I'm going to take a little bit of the light pink and just put a few little dots around. I'm going to take the dark pink and put a little bit in the centre, a little bit around there. And again, some little dots around so the colour is together. Take my lighter green again and going all over where the foliage is, or almost where the foliage would be. And again, don't worry if you're going over the lines. This is to give an impression. And finally, with my dark green, and I'm just adding a little bit in. Again, just so that we've got that impression of the letters. So when you're looking at that at a distance, it's beautifully watercoloured. That pink line's a little harsh, so let's just pull some of that out with a little bit more yellow. And again, don't worry, I've gone over the lines, it doesn't matter. It makes it look so beautifully hand coloured. So now we need to cut these out. And it's very simple. I keep all of my letters on a board, just the same. So I keep them with the stamps in one of my sliding folders. So I want the L, the O, the V, and the E. And I keep these again in alphabetical order, going A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's easier to see them and to put them back. So we bring in our letters, and what you simply do is place that over and you'll see the full letter through. So if you can see here, you can see the full letter through the actual die, the way they've been designed. So it's very easy to line these up. So whilst the O looks quite blobby, if you look to the side here, once you've got all of the grey or the black showing through, the other side fits exactly. So you don't have to spend hours trying to line these up. So L-O, V, and again lining it up so I see the letter through. And then finally the E. And again, once I see the letter through, I know it's in the right place, just like that. So you only have to spend a little bit of time doing it. Tape that down, and to make sure they don't move, I take a larger piece of tape and just tape all of the letters together, as the last thing you want them to do is to move in your machine. You'd simply then take your die cutting machine, place them down and run them through your machine. Now I've actually got my letters already cut. So I've got my letters already cut because it's nice and easy. So here we have L, O, V and E, coloured exactly the same in the same colours. What I've also done, and this is a great benefit of having dies, I've also cut the letters just in the same dark pink card. So again, this will give me a beautiful drop shadow. So L, O, V and E. And there I have my letters, my love letters in effect, worked beautifully together. So let's bring in the card I'm going to use. And this is the card I'm going to place them onto. So we'll bring our letters down. And I'm going to use the glue glaze. I find this is the easiest way to glue these on because it means I don't get any overspill or anything. So the first thing to do is to glue your letters to the shadow. So a little bit of glue glaze onto there. And then I'm going to offset slightly each letter. So nice and simple. Just a little bit of glue glaze on there. And offset the letters on there. This gives them a real 3D look, and that's one of the major benefits of having stamps that have dies. Let's move these up a little bit. Of using alphabet stamps that have dies is that you can create a lot of depth by cutting them 2 or 3 times, so you're not having to try and mess around with little bits of foam. Or you can do this and have that beautiful offset shadow, which again just makes it look so much more expensive and well sort of cleverly thought through. So V, and this is great about glue glaze. So I've obviously not glued that very well, so I can just flick my little end over it and glue it down. And we'll finish with the E. Just like that. So there again, I have my love letters working. Now, when it comes to putting them on your card, some really simple tricks and tips to follow. So I'm going to bring my card in here. And what I want to do is, first of all, make sure my letters are straight. So using the grid lines that are on my board, I'm going to make sure it's flat against those. I'm then going to take a long piece of the craft artist tape, and using one of those lines, I'm going to go over and just make sure that's nice and straight first, that I get it straight. That gives me a baseline to get my letters on right. And when you're trying to build a word, the last thing you want to do is to start there and run out of space. So start with the first word or the first letter of your word. And again, I'm using glue glaze. And I'm going to put my L on, resting it against my tape. That's a little bit high, so I just move my tape down and getting it straight till I'm happy. So there's my L. I'm then going to put the last letter in, which is the E. And they can fit evenly space everything in between. So we'll just put a bit of glue on our E. There we go. And I'm going to take that, resting against the tape, and finish it at the end of the word, the end of the piece. Again, then it's easier to fit the other letters in because we know the space we've got. So I can just gently overlap the O and do exactly the same to the V. So again, glue glaze, pop that in, gently move it over so it's overlapping slightly, And that way we get them in exactly the right place. And again, that's lifting a little bit. So again, take some of your glue glaze. You can whap the brush across the back and just take that down. And there we have our love running completely straight across the middle of our card. And I'm just going to finish with a little flower. Placed on there. And there we have our beautiful card made with the Tempest die, with the word love going across there and with that little bit of pink and grey shadowing. For more hints, tips, ideas and inspiration, why not visit the Crafting with John Next Door and Crafts 2 group on Facebook. Enjoy.